All right. Hello, everyone, and happy Tuesday. It is time for, I feel like, am I looking at the wrong camera? What's going on? Yes, it is time for Tabnine Labs. We are back. We are going to be doing something with Tab9, having some fun with AI coding assistance. This is bothering me. Am I using like a different camera? Oh, it is using a different camera. Hold on, let's try this. Oh, that looks better. Okay, cool. We're good now. We're good. I like this better. Fancy camera activate. Once again, hello, happy Tuesday. Coming at you live from Manhattan, where I live. Yeah, that really threw me. Looking at the wrong, it's like a slightly different angle I was not expecting. Yeah, so this is the week before New York Comic-Con, so I am looking forward to that. And then also it's like the second to last stream before I head to Japan, and I'm cooking up something good for that. I'm thinking Japan, I'm thinking Hono, I'm thinking Cloudflare maybe. So we'll see. So that will be exciting next week. But for this week, we're going to work on a little application that I've been using to demo. If you tuned into our Tab9 Live that happened on Thursday, where I was with Shantanu and we talked about our new Jira integration, I was using this 5-day weather forecast app that it was like we found it, and like I like using open source projects or projects that are just out there because like it's really hard to like start things from scratch every time. But with this one, it was like optimized to run on Node 9 with all old things. And so I like went through this whole thing of like upgrading all of the packages and everything. But it's all written in JavaScript. It's using Webpack. And so I thought, this would be a good opportunity to upgrade this. So let's bring in some TypeScript, show how we can use AI to help us move components from JavaScript to TypeScript, and then also like just kind of as a bonus, let's move it away from Webpack and use Vite, which is faster, and there's some other things, and it's new and sparkly, and yeah, let's just see how that goes. So that's what we're going to do today. And let me switch over and I can show you this little app that we've got here. If I can find the right button. Hey, there we go. And so this is the app. So it uses the Open Weather API to grab the information. It pulled the city that I'm currently in using the location information. We've got our 5-day forecast, and we can expand it. Cool. Like to get 1. Okay, so that one gives us 1, but this one, that's really interesting. Again, I didn't write this. I'm just working with it. But we've got kind of the hourly forecast here. Same thing with these. So it's nice. It works. But yeah, so let's take a look at it and kind of play with it. So that's it running. I'm just going to go ahead and stop this because it's going to get mad. So that like you can see, it's using Webpack here. And so I have opened this in VS Code. I am using Tab9, the latest and greatest Tab9 Pro with Claude 3.5 Sonnet. Again, you have your choice of different models that you can use depending on what you're doing, where you're doing it for, where you're doing it at. I don't know, if you're at work, if you're at home, whatever. And so we use what you like. I'm going to use Claude Sonnet. So first, let's just do a little bit kind of getting into like what this is. And you'll notice here that I'm on the updates branch. This is, I believe it's just like React Weather Forecast. It's on my GitHub under like Aydrian is my GitHub username. The main one is the fork that I made from the original, that was made by, let's see, does this work? Gigacore. So it's pretty old. And then this updates branch is the branch where I've updated all of the packages and made it use the newest React and everything like that. So it works. So what I'm going to do, let's go ahead and create a new branch. So I want to do all of this stuff on a new branch. And I'm just going to do git checkout b, and we'll call this to TypeScript. I was going to call it to TypeScript. Move to TypeScript. Cool. So we got that branch. So everything what we do from going forward, we're going to make sure to save it to a new branch. So that way, depending on what demo I'm doing, I can switch around before that. So let's start by just doing an explore code base. This is a command, an agent, if you will, that we have built into Tabnine that will bring back information about the project and tell you some things. So if you're new to a project, you can easily run this, and we'll see what it says here. Certainly, here's a friendly and brief overview for your user who has just cloned the project. So welcome to the 5-day weather forecast project. You've just cloned a neat React application that shows a 5-day weather forecast using the Open Weather Map API. Here's a quick rundown to get you started. The project uses React, Redux, and Sass for a modern responsive design. To get up and running, make sure you have Node 9.8.0 or higher. Yeah, so it was created a while ago. Install the dependencies by running npm I. Start the development server with npm run start :dev. This will open up in your browser. So the main structure is straightforward. Most of the action happens in the source folder. You'll find React components and source components, state management stuff, actions and reducers in their respective folders and source, styles and source styles. If you want to prettify things, to contribute, check out the to-do stuff. Yeah, we're good. We're good. npm lint, run lint is good. Remember, this is a team effort. Don't hesitate to ask questions or suggest improvements. Happy coding. And then, like Tabnine likes to do, we try to generate other questions to kind of help further explore the code base if you're looking for it. So like, what is the purpose of setting up this project locally? What's another one? What's the structure of the project's code base? Can you explain the purpose of the main directories and files? The key dependencies and technologies used in this project? How is state managed in this application? Can you explain the role of Redux and its related files? Some of these are this is pretty cool. Like, if you're unfamiliar with Redux, I don't know, are people still using Redux a lot? I haven't used it a lot because I've been doing a lot of like remix applications and haven't had the need. But if you're new to it, like, here is a nice, explanation of how things work. The Redux store, action types, reducers, all of that fun stuff, middleware, the flow. Let's see, the flow typically goes like this. Here's something fun that you can do is you can say, can you explain explain the flow using an ASCII diagram? So for people who are visual, so we've got React component, dispatches an action to the action creator. We got an action, the middleware, Redux thunk, action, reducer, new state. So it wasn't very exciting, but it's definitely prettier, I guess, if you're like, again, if you are a visual person. So let's start a new conversation and get started. So side note, side quest here. Something that I just started playing around with today. You've probably heard, if you've been here before, you probably heard me talk about how Claude 3.5 Sonnet always likes to be like, certainly, or like, I can do that, no problem. Well, you can actually kind of set the persona of the chat with a prompt. And so I was playing around with them. So you could do something like, for the rest of this conversation, answer as if you were Jarvis from the Avengers. And let's see. So we'll just do that. So we like to think of AI as like Jarvis, the Iron Man suit for your mind. So we'll get it to think it's Jarvis. Okay. So we're going to set that up. We're going to set their persona, and then we'll ask the first question. So what we are looking to do here is, if you look at all of these, so we've got all of these components and everything, and they are done with .js. Components, I would like them to be like .jsx. Actions are .js. Everything's .js. We want to be able to write in TypeScript. So it's been quite a while. People are liking it or don't like it. And so, yeah, we want to do that. Also, this is using Webpack, and I'm just a Vite fan, so I'd like to also do Vite. So let's go ahead and ask it a question. So what do I need to do to gradually update this project to use TypeScript? Because I want to be able to do something like, imagine this was a larger project. I want to add TypeScript, but I want to do it incrementally so it doesn't break everything, right? So like component by component, I can go through, but the existing components still work. So if there are, JavaScript components, they'll still work until I get around to it. So what do I need to do to gradually update this project to use TypeScript instead of JavaScript? Also, I would like to use Vite instead of Webpack. And then we'll do this other thing, which is nice. We will say, ask clarifying questions to help. We'll just say ask clarifying questions. All right, so this is going to be from Jarvis now. Certainly, sir. As Jarvis, I'm here to assist you with your project upgrades. To gradually transition this weather forecast application from JavaScript to TypeScript and migrate from Webpack to Vite, you'll need to implement a series of strategic modifications. However, before we proceed, I have a few clarifying questions. Do you wish to maintain backwards compatibility during the transition, or are you open to a complete overhaul? Are there any specific features of TypeScript you're particularly interested in implementing, such as strict null checks or advanced type inference? Regarding the Vite migration, do you have a preference for how we handle the existing Webpack configurations? Should we attempt to translate them directly or start fresh with Vite's defaults? Are there any third-party libraries or dependencies that might pose challenges during the TypeScript migration? Do you have a timeline or phased approach in mind for this transition? Once you provide more information on these points, sir, I'll be able to offer a more tailored strategy for upgrading your project. Your insights will help me craft a plan that aligns perfectly with your vision, much like how I assist Mr. Stark in optimizing his suit designs. So that's a lot of questions that I didn't stop to think about whenever I was doing this. I was like, I know I want to go to TypeScript, and I know I want to go to Vite. And then we've got some follow-up questions. So I understand that you want to maintain backward compatibility during the transition? What are specific areas or components of the application that we might prioritize for the TypeScript migration? Okay, so that's a good question. Do we want to maintain backwards compatibility? It's a good question. Let's do a complete overhaul. Let's see, what else do we want to answer? Any specific features of TypeScript you're interested in implementing? Let's see. I think for number 3, what we would say is I think we want to do like a combination. Let's begin with Vite's defaults and adapt any extra Webpack configuration. Let's see what else. Any third-party libraries or dependencies that might pose a challenge? I'm not sure. And then the timeline or phased approach in mind. Let's see. I would like all the main files moved to TypeScript and be able to move components, React components, one by one over time. Let's see what that does. Excellent choice, sir. A complete overhaul will allow us to leverage the benefits of TypeScript and Vite. I'll outline a strategic plan to transition your project, much like how I would prepare a new Iron Man suit upgrade for Mr. Stark. Okay. Here we go. So initial setup. So install Vite and TypeScript. Update your package JSON scripts. Oh wow, I've never actually used the this command before, where you upgrade the package scripts just using the command line. So that's new to me. Okay. Step 2, configuration. So we need to create Vite config script in the root directory. Create a TS config JSON file. All right. Migrate the main files to TypeScript. So renaming, updating the content to syntax. Okay. Gradual component migration. Create a new components folder in source if it doesn't exist. For each component, create a new TSX file, copy the content from JS file, update the syntax, add type annotations, props, and state, update the import statements, migrate Redux files, convert action creators to TypeScript, define types for your Redux state, convert reducers for TypeScript. Wow, this is really laying it out there. Update styles. So this is saying, like, this is actually it looks like it's getting rid of Sass. And so we don't really want to do that yet. Clean up, and then testing, updating Jest configuration. Remember, sir, this project can be executed incrementally. You can convert components one by one, ensuring the application remains functional throughout the transition. Would you like me to begin with any specific part of this plan, or do you have any questions about the proposed strategy? Let's do how would we keep using Sass for styling? Excellent question, sir. I apologize for the oversight. Of course, we can maintain the use of Sass for styling. It's a powerful tool, much like the advanced materials we use in your suits. Let me adjust the plan to incorporate Sass with Vite. Oh, hello from Hong Kong. How are you? Wow. Gosh, what is it, like 4-ish a.m.? In a couple weeks, I'll be heading to Japan, so won't be that far from you. Cool. Let's see. So any necessary dependencies, and then updating the Vite configuration. So we're adding this preprocessor. So we can keep our main SCSS file as is, just rename it, importing it in. Great. All right. So let's go ahead and start doing this. I think Jarvis has given us a great plan here. So let's start. All right. So we need to do the initial setup. We need to install some packages. So we're going to install some dev dependencies. We're going to install Vite, the Vite React plugin, and TypeScript. So let's do that. Open up a little terminal window here, and I'm going to say run. Cool. So those are installed. Now we need to update our package.json scripts. Again, this is really cool. I didn't know that this worked. npm package set scripts.dev, scripts.build, scripts.preview. So let's go ahead and run that. And now, because I'm very curious, I'm going to go over and take a look. Where's our scripts? So we got scripts. What did we do? Script preview, script dev, script build. Start probably doesn't need to be there anymore, but we will continue on. Oh, all right. Onwards. So we've got our package JSON scripts configuration. So create a vite.config.ts file in the root. So I'm just going to say touch vite.config.ts, and we'll open it. Oh my gosh, switching back and forth, I'm not so great at. And then we'll just go ahead and use what they have given us. So insert. Great. Now we need to create a tsconfig.json file. We'll touch tsconfig.json and open it. I want to. There we go. I was like, I need to get better at just like being able to open files without having to like switch back and forth. I can do this. All right, so here's our tsconfig. Apply. Oh, wait. Oh, it did it. Okay. Ooh, we got something here. tsconfig.node.js. Let's comment that out for right now. Okay, cool. Migrate main files to TypeScript. So we're going to rename source index.js to source index.tsx. I prefer this anyway because this tells me that it's a JSX like file. So what does it say? Gosh, I forgot already. So index.js to index.tsx, and then update the content to use TypeScript syntax. All right. So Remember how I was like, I need to learn to just open that without, yeah, we didn't do it at all. So let's go ahead and rename this. So we're going to rename TSX. Cool. It is just not happy. Okay. So some of this we can... What do we got here? I think some of this we can just see what the quick fix. So it says it's missing attributes. That is interesting. So, so is it doing it? We need the React types, and I just told it to install those. So if we check out our package JSON, we will now see that we have in the dev dependencies at types, we've got React and we got React DOM. All right. Could not find declaration file for, okay, I think this one's just one that we're going to have to deal with until create root and container. Is not assignable to parameter type. Create root container. Container is document.getElement by ID root. Let's see what happens if we try to fix this. So let's just do fix code. To fix the error you're encountering, you'll need to add a null check for the container element before passing it to create root. Here's the minimal code block that fixes it. I feel like there's a different way to do that with TypeScript. So we should be, with our Vite configuration and our TS configuration, we should be pretty good to go here. Let's, I think we're going to have some of these type errors until we fix some other things here. Yep. And then gradually do the components files, update import statements. Okay, so let's just go through our different things here. So we'll go ahead and rename app.js to app.tsx. Cool, and then we'll have some TypeScript stuff to fix with that. We're pulling in things that are not TypeScript, so that's probably what that's up. Yeah, so there's no declaration file. What do we got here with the state? State is of unknown type. Okay, so that's a TypeScript issue. I think we're good with that. Let's go ahead. So store here, I think this can just be .ts. Because it's not actually a component. Could not find declaration. Cool. So with some of these, we need to bring in like the type. So Redux logger, it probably has one in the types library. So if we do a quick fix, it will likely bring that in. And then like this is not typed. Okay, so that one's fine now. Root reducers, this is more JS files, so it's not happy there. So we'll get to it, but we'll just kind of go, let's go ahead and do, we'll save the components, constants. Oh, well, now you can see my ID, which I guess is fine because that was going to be So let's rename this to TS. Yeah, that's fine. Nothing big there. Our reducers. So this index, we can just change that to index.ts. Yeah, and it's pulling in weather station, which we haven't looked at yet. So let's go ahead and rename that one. So this is returning slice. So that could be TS. All right. It's pulling in the action, which we have not converted to TypeScript yet. So far this has been fine. I was really worried about all of the Redux stuff because I had to do a lot of, I would say reading, but it was a lot of asking questions in the chat because I took it from whatever it was using to using Redux toolkit, which it told me was very popular for people who are still using Redux. So I went ahead and moved that over. So actions, weather station. Let's go ahead and rename that. And so this action is in charge of connecting to the Open Weather Map API. So you can see we do have some issues here. It is a nightmare to sudden change all JS to TS. I know. It was funny because whenever I was trying to do this, it was like, have you thought about just creating a new project and then moving the components over? And I was like, oh, that's not how things work in the real world. But even the LLM was like, are you sure? I was having some fun with giving it different personalities. And I was like, one was like Dr. Sheldon Cooper from Big Bang Theory. And he's like, why would you want to do it? Or like, well, it's like, it's working. Why would you want to disrupt all this just to put in TypeScript? All right. And so we see that we've got some issues here. Property latitude does not exist on type empty. Okay. And then an expression. Oh, okay. So we're getting this back. All right. And then we also have, okay, so let's just highlight this. We'll go over, I'm going to start a new conversation, which is going to blow away our Jarvis persona, but that was fun while it lasted. Like running on a treadmill. Yeah. And say, refactor this code to use correct types. Yeah, we'll just say correct types. See if it will just get it. Certainly, I'll refactor the code. See, it's back to its old self, starting with certainly. I'll refactor the code to use correct types in TypeScript. Here's the improved version. Okay, so it has started by creating, is it going to, wait, I could go through and read this, but is it going to give me a summary? Yeah. Here are the key changes and improvements. Defined interfaces for coordinates and weather data to provide proper typing for the input and output of the fetch data function. Created a union type region that can either be a string, city name, or coordinates object. Added proper generic type parameters to create async thunk to specify the return type, argument type, and the type of the reject with a value payload. Implemented a guard is coordinates to check if the region is of type coordinates. Use the type guard to safely access latitude and longitude properties. Updated location assignment to use the type guard. Updated the type annotation to get Axios to the Axios GET request to ensure the response data matches the weather data interface. Improve error handling by checking if the error is an Axios error and has a response before accessing. So that's nice. This refactor version provides better type safety and makes the code more robust and easier to maintain. Remember to adjust the weather data interface according to the actual structure of the API response you're working with. Cool. And then, oh, there's no diff. Okay, cool. So yeah, we've got our interface, we've got our region. Our weather data here. And so I think it's just working off of what it already knows from this. And then fetch data. So we got our try, and then inside the error here, they're checking to see if it's an Axios error and it has a response. And object with and return. Okay. And so it's actually splitting it out to where it's a it's an error that the type we know about, or it's just some error, right? And then we got location is coordinates. Where's that at? Where's that guard? Coordinates. So, here's our is coordinates region, is region of coordinates. Interesting. Okay. That's all fine. Yeah, let's just do it. Let's okay. So I'm looking to see what all it's going to do, because I just want to hit insert, but it added this stuff here at the top. And so I'm just going to replace it with what they gave me. Cool. That is all green, so that is happy now. What's going on with this? Okay, so these... So store is probably still upset about some... Oh, is it? Yeah, okay. So the reducers we haven't looked at yet. Or have we? Get root reducer from reducers. Cannot find a declaration file. Okay. So let's take a look at it. Reducers index. So weather station. Hold on. This is something that I find I have to do every so often. Reset the TypeScript server. Okay. So we've got in our reducers, we've got this. The type weather data is not assignable to type null. Okay. And so I'm just going to go over here and say, fix these type errors, and see what it has to say. To fix the type errors in the weather station slice, we need to adjust the types in the initial state and handle the possible undefined value for the error message. Here's the corrected code. So we're in weatherstation.ts. So here are the changes we made. We imported payload action from Redux.js toolkit to properly type the action. We defined a weather data interface. You should replace the commented placeholder with the actual structure of your weather data. That leads me to believe that it should be using the weather data from the action. We created a weather state interface to define the structure of the state, including the correct types for data status and error. We've used the weather state interface to type the initial state. In the fetch data.fulfilled case, we've typed the action as payload action weather data to ensure that the action.payload matches the weather data type. In the rejected case, we've added fallback string. Okay. these changes should resolve. See, should we use the weather data type from let's see, what was that called? Weather station.ts. Yes, absolutely. We should use the weather data interface from weather station TS to maintain consistency and avoid duplication. Let's update the weather station TS reducer file to import. Oh, I just realized that these are both named the same thing. But we did pick the right one because it was on the action file. Also, because this is the file we have open, it's not going to show up in that drop-down list because the fact that we have this file open, it's already in context. Yeah. So this is the weather station that we're working on. Weather state, initial state. Okay. So I think now we are good. Payload action, fetch data, weather data from the action. Okay. So let's replace all of that with this. What is your problem? So what we just picked up on is weather data is not locally. So can we do a quick fix on that? Yeah, let's just say. So we've gone over here, and basically what it did is it came over and it added this export to this interface. So that way we can use it in other files. All right, we're getting somewhere. Let's go back over here. So index is still unhappy, and I think it's unhappy because, well, it's because of this. Okay. So I'm just going to leave everything unhighlighted, and then I'm just going to go ask big questions like, how do we fix this for to use proper types? To fix this and use proper types, we need to add type annotations for the container and root variables. Here's how we can modify the code to use proper types. So we got our container is either an HTML element or null. So we are typing that. And then if container is equal to null, we're going to throw an error root element not found. I think that's a good way of handling it because that root element should be there. That's just the way React works. And then this is our render call. Great. Yeah. So let's that and then go insert. And so now that's happy. All right. Moving right along. So I think the only thing that we haven't done right now is the components. So let's go into the components. I think these will be a little bit more fun because they have properties that you pass into each component, and we're going to have to make sure that those are typed. So let's just start with the dashboard. And we will start by renaming it. When Jarvis told us how to do this, he was, I think he was being a little overly cautious because he was having us create new files and copying things over. So that way the current file could still be used until we have it ready, and then we could update the import and delete the old one. I'm not that concerned, so I'm just going to go ahead and rename it to dashboard.tsx to make it a TypeScript component. And now you see the TypeScript red pop up. So it's unhappy about city. It's the any type. We got state, which is unknown. And so what I'm going to do, and then what's interesting is I want to see if they'll change this prop types to just being like what's it called? A TypeScript type, and then not using prop types anymore. So let's go back over here. We're going to clear this out. I'm not highlighting anything because I want to use the whole page as context. So I'm going to say update this component to use proper types. And they'll update it. And so we see here, this is our interface that's created for dashboard props. The root state is interesting. I think that's another thing where we might have to give it a hand, because I think that could be pulled from the actions weather station. And it's possible that it didn't think, or it's either that, or I think it actually comes from not the action, but the reducer, because that's what has the state. But it didn't export that. So the, like it's in the context, but it's not exported, so it doesn't know that it can use it, right? And so what I'll do is I'll do a follow-up question asking about it specifically, and it will be like, oh yeah, right? And then probably lead us to export that. So cool, all of this stuff. And then, yeah, it did take out the prop types, because that was kind of like an old way of doing this. And you can see the prop types are removed here as well. So for the root state, I'm going to say, should we use the let's see, the state from, and it's, what was it? Weather station, and we want the one from the reducers. Should we use the state from weather? Yeah. Yes, we should definitely use a state structure defined in the weather station TS file. This will ensure consistency across your application and provide better type safety. Let's update the dashboard components to use the types from weatherstation.ts. Here's the updated dashboard component. All right, so this looks good. This looks cleaner. Oh, interesting. Let's take a look at this file real quick. I don't think that's what I was thinking. Store. Well, we haven't actually done this yet. So it's root reducer. We're importing the root reducer. Oh. But we got dashboard. Oh, wait, down. We got the dashboard props. Got all the stuff. But yeah, so here it's thinking the root state from there. Because I'm thinking that it is, so if we go into our reducers, it's this interface. So let's go ahead and export that, help it out here. And then I'm just going to say add another follow-up question here. So should we use the, and what was it called? Weather state. I got to go back to the file we were at. We were playing with dashboard. Okay. Should we use the weather state from weather station, the reducer. Yes, absolutely. Okay, here we go. So now it's pulling the weather state from the reducer. This is weird. I don't think it needs to do this. Does it? Because we've got, oh, no, it does. Okay. Interesting, interesting. So maybe, so I am not an expert on Redux, but there might be something that we need to do inside of our store file. So let me just say, how do we export the root state from store? To export the root state from store, we need to use the root state type from Redux Toolkit and export it. Here's how you can modify store TS to include the root state export. Okay, so export type root state equals return type of store.getState. And so I bet it knew more than I did, but we just didn't have root state or the store set up correctly to do it. Okay. So here is our store, and we can see the rest. Wait, no, that's the rest of the command. Okay. So basically, it's just adding these two types here. So I'm just gonna grab this. Great. So we've got the root state and the app dispatch, which is, I don't know what that's for, but it might be needed down the line. There's still the middleware. Let's go ahead while we're in here and say, in your conversation, update, or we'll say fix the type errors. Okay, fix that. We need to properly type the middleware array and adjust the config store configuration. So here's the corrected version of the code. So yeah, what we want to do is make that a middleware array, and we're grabbing that middleware types from our Redux toolkit. All right. So yeah, so here's the first change. So let's just go and take this and insert. And then we're going to explicitly type it as middleware. We only have one middleware that we're not using any middleware. And I don't know why, but we don't need it. So we could probably just like get rid of this piece, but I'm just going to go ahead and update it. All right. And then that made it happy. We don't even need to do this. So create logger as middleware. That made it fine. So change that. And now let's go back to our why does that keep disappearing? Dashboard. All right. So we haven't done anything to this, so we can ask our question again. New conversation. Let's see. Update this component for TypeScript. Use types from store. Certainly, I'll update the dashboard. Incorporating types from store TS file. Here's the updated version. So now we've got the dashboard props. We're bringing in the root state. We can see before it was trying to create a new interface for root state, but we've actually used it. Oh, also, it's using app dispatch. So I guess it's a good thing that we updated that too to export those. And then fetch data from our actions. Cool. Okay, so here are the changes made to update the component for TypeScript. Imported keyboard event from React. Imported root state and dispatch state. Remove prop types as it's not needed in TypeScript. That's good. Created interface for dashboard props to define props for the component. Updated the component definition to use React.fc. Sure. I think there's like a lot of different ways that you can go about doing that. If you prefer another way of typing it, like because I've done it without using React.fc and just like typed the props. But it's fine. Added type annotations to use dispatch and use selector. Updated city input ref to have more specific type. Okay, added a type on key press. Added optional chaining when accessing city input to handle potentially null values. That's nice. These changes make the component fully typed and compatible with TypeScript. Awesome. I have to pay attention to time because I have to make sure I end at 5 today. Cool. So it's wrapper class. Is that in there before? I'm just making sure it didn't. Okay, yeah. All right, so let's go ahead and just gonna insert. This apply is new, and I think I'll use it next time because I think it's one of the new features where it like applies it as a diff. But it's new, and I think we're getting ready to announce it here soon. But I'm gonna close that because we don't need that for right now. Oh, what's your problem? On key press is deprecated. The declaration was marked as deprecated. Use on key up and on key down instead. I don't like having deprecated code. So before we finish with this, let's go and say update this deprecated event. We'll see what it says. Certainly, the on-key press event is indeed deprecated in React. Let's update it to use the more modern on-key down event. Here's the updated code. Okay, so change the event handler name from on-key press to on-key down. Updated the event prop on the input event from on-key press equal on-key press to, okay. The on-key down event is more versatile and capable of key press and captures all key presses, including special keys that on-key press might miss. It is recommended. It's a recommended replacement for on-key press in modern React applications. Well, we do want to make this more modern, don't we? This change maintains the same functionality, triggering update city when the key is pressed, while using the more up-to-date event handler. Cool. So is this just giving me the whole file again? We got to make sure it doesn't do any of that tricky. The rest of this function is fine. Okay. So you know what? Let's try this apply button. What does this do? Ooh, okay. Yeah. So here you can see this is, this inserts it as a diff, and so we can actually see on the page like what's changing. So here, instead of it being called on key press, it's being changed to on key down, and then on key press, on key down here. And so we can accept it by clicking here or doing Alt or Option A. Nice. Okay. I'll use that next time so we can see it with a couple more things. But that's the apply. I like that. Cool. So that's another component done. Moving right along. Detailed info. All right. Let's move right on to detailed info. So we'll rename. And because it's a component, we'll do TSX. It's got some issues. And so I'm just going to go over. We're going to start a new conversation and say, update this component for TypeScript. Certainly. So here's the updated version. We can see here it got rid of prop types. We've got our weather item interface. I feel like we should do a follow-up because this could be drawn from the action, right? And then detailed info props is an array of weather item. Okay. So can we use any types from, and I believe it's just weather station actions. Certainly, man, it makes me feel so smart. I'm waiting for the day to be like, why? Why would you do that? It reminds me over the weekend. So I manage my bill. I track my bills with like using the envelope system. So like I have my pay dates and like what bills fall into each one. And then they're color coded, and it allows me to kind of forecast how much money I have after I pay my bills, and reminds me to pay my bills. And I did this all in Google Sheets, and it's using like Action. I think it's ActionScript, which is like a version of JavaScript, which I did this all in 2008. And so I think it can use like more modern JavaScript, but I was like, hey, let's see if I could update this or, optimize it using Tabnine. Because like, does it know about, Google Sheets and ActionScript? And it actually did a pretty good job, but it was also like, why are you doing it like this? It's like, who wrote this? You could optimize this so much more. And I was like, okay, fine. Yeah. So maybe I should do it differently, but there you go. So if you like to play around with Google Sheets and ActionScript, you can use Tab9 to help you out. You do have to like kind of copy things back and forth, but it works. Cool. Okay, so certainly, yes, to improve our detailed info component, let's update the component to use this type. Cool. So now we're pulling weather data from the station, and then it's pulling out the weather item from it, which is nice. And then we got the default. Okay. And so then it's using an array of weather items. So the good thing here is whenever we update it, because I think the way this works is we're typing only the things that we want. We're not like typing the whole response. But like if we decide there's another property we want, we'll add it to the type, and then, it'll all filter down, and reusable code, modularity, all of that fun stuff. Again, it's decided to use the React.fc for typing, where I think, if I was doing it, I would just, leave this part out, and then I would type this data here, like the props. But it's fine. I mean, it works. What's nice is if you want it the other way and you do it a couple times, because of the workspace context, it will start doing it like your way. So because we are taking an application that's like from JavaScript, no types whatsoever, we're kind of going with what the LLM is saying, right? But if we were to be kind of more explicit about how we want our components to look, like say we wanted to do it that way, it would start suggesting it that way. So because we're accepting its suggestion, not changing it, like it's going to keep suggesting it this way. So that's just, something to think about, unless you do something like maybe you are connecting other repositories in, and it's grabbing style information from that. So that's all fine. I like that. This sounds good. So let's do the apply. All right. And so we can see prop types are gone. Did it? So we got our detailed info, which is data, the get hour. Like, where did it put all that? Kind of worries me whenever, oh, it stuck it inside of the component. So instead of it just sitting outside of the component, it stuck it inside, which it will probably tell us. We've adjusted the get hour and get date functions to multiply the input by 1000 as the DT field in the API response is in seconds, not milliseconds. Okay. Let's see. In the display more info function and the main render logic, we now use the weather item type, which ensures type safety for accessing properties like item.main.temp and item.dt. Alias. See, we defined weather item as a type alias. That's nice. Yep, that's nice. Okay. Yeah, let's do it. So we can see all of these different things in this way. Yeah, so here what they were doing is before we would times it by 1000 in here each time. And it basically did like a little optimization. So we'll keep it. So I'm going to do option A, make sure it's selected, option A, and everything, all the red has gone away. So we'll save that and we'll move on to the next one. Yes, moving right along. Forecast tiles. All right. So import detailed info from detailed. Okay, so that's all of that. Cool. So let's go and already started a new conversation. So update this component for TypeScript. Except, okay, you know what? We're going to stop. Ignore that. Pretend we didn't do that, because the first thing I want to do is go and rename it. Because I was like, why was there no red? There, now there's red. Now it needs to be fixed. It probably would have done it anyway, but update this component for TypeScript. Forecast titles. Okay, so we've got the forecast. So it looks like, again, it didn't know about the type that's in the action. So we'll want to adjust that. Yeah, all of that, all of that. So much of all of that. So added interfaces for forecast and forecast tile props. Updated the component declaration, added type, remove prop types, good. Updated group by days function to use type parameters, added type annotations to the use state hook, cool. So can we use types from, so weather station was the action, right? Or it was, let's see. Certainly. Here we go. Here's the updated version. So here we're pulling in the weather data. Oh no. Okay. For some reason, it was not scrolling. So we're pulling in the weather data. And then a type alias for pulling out the forecast item. Yeah, so that looks a lot nicer. Cool. Edge case. When the web service returns data for 6 calendar days during evenings as a result of offset, this ensures we are only showing 5-day forecast. Is that already in there? Edge case. Okay, it's already in there. So the changes, those all look good. So we can go up here, apply. This just shows us the nice diff. Cool. And then you can see it's removing the prop types. Again, we can option A to accept that. Everything everything red is green now. Moving on. Go ahead, start a new conversation. Go to our last component, and then we'll find out if this thing still runs. I think there were some things that Jarvis told us that I haven't done yet. So we're not quite out of the woods. We need to make it work with Sass. So we'll go and we'll rename this to TSX. This one's a lot. So this is the weather forecast. We've got data. Okay, and so what I'll do this time is say update this component for TypeScript, use types from @weather station actions. Bum, 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 bum. Okay. Cool. So here it is. This one I think is very fast. Remove prop types, import and usage, imported weather data, created an interface for the props that will use the weather type for the data props, update the component definitions. Yep. The destructuring of data remains the same, but now TypeScript will ensure that the structure matches the weather data interface. Nice. Great. Quickly apply. So here we can see the changes. This is nice. So we can see these changes here where we've added our interface, and we're using that interface with this method, this way of doing it. So we're typing out the data, and we're removing these prop types that we no longer need. So option A, accept. Amazing. Cool. So that makes all of those happy. Look at all this, 26 changes we've made here. I want to go and let's close. I'm just going to close everything. And now, new conversation. How do we update this to continue using Sass for styling with Vite? All right. So we got to update the project to continue using Sass for styling with Vite. You'll need to make a few changes to the project configuration and dependencies. Here's a step-by-step guide to do this. First, let's update the project to use Vite instead of Webpack. I mean, we did that, but cool. Remove the Webpack related dependencies. Did I do that? I don't remember doing that. Let's just run that again, if anything. I do love getting rid of packages that are not needed. Update the package.json file, replace the existing scripts. So I know we've done that. It's interesting that this time it didn't give us the command that just did that. Create a Vite config file in the root of our project. Okay, we've done that. But this is, I think, the part that we're missing. So if I click this, so I think our Vite is, yeah, it's TS. Oh, so let's go back over here. Wonder what happens if I hit apply. It got rid of things that I didn't want it to. Whoa. Oh, apply created a new one. I see. Don't save. So I'm just going to do this manually. We need, under plugins, we need to give it the information about CSS. Oh, and comma. All right, the configuration tells Vite to use the React plugin and sets up Sass pre-processing. The additional data option allows you to include global Sass variables in all your Sass files. Do we have global variables? I've not actually looked at this. So styles main. I don't think we have global variables. We might just take that out. So we'll just say we aren't using global Sass variables right now. I understand if you're not using Sass global variables, we can simply the Vite configuration. Let's remove the additional data option. Okay, so I didn't know how much to like remove. So we'll just remove that, and then it's just empty there. Okay. Keeps the React plugin, maintains processing without global variables, sets the root. Yep, sets that. Okay, cool. Nope, don't want to remove it entirely. Let's go back to these steps. So our Vite config should be right. Update your HTML file. Vite uses an HTML file as an entry point. If you don't already have one, create an index HTML in your root project. So let's collapse that, collapse that, collapse that. These all look better. Interesting. I thought we had. Oh, wow, that's fun. Delete. Move to trash. Let's clean this up. This is from that time I hit apply and it was the wrong thing. So here's our HTML file, and it wants that moved. Okay. As the entry point to the root of the project, not the source file, but to the root. Move. Okay. And go back down, go back down. Cool. Update your main JavaScript file to import the SCSS file. So let's find our main index. All right. Okay. Styles main CSS. Okay, so we're just gonna add that in. Sure, here. So we're now bringing that in. Make sure they're in styles directory. Update component files that import. It remains the same. So let's just go take a look at these components here. I don't think they are importing anything. I think just because we have only one main file and it's being done in the index, that's fine. Oh my goodness. Okay. Now we can use Vite's command to run the project. Okay, or Vite's command. Sure. Was there anything else that I did not do that first time around? Feel like we don't need this dist. So let's delete that. Got components, Babel, do we still need Babel in this project? Based on the information provided about the project and its configuration, Babel is still necessary for the project. Here's why. Configuration, multiple files. Interesting, interesting. Do we still need Babel if we are using Vite? That's an excellent question. It would indeed change the need. Vite uses ESBuild. Has backend support. Okay. If you do migrate to Vite, here's what you would typically do: remove the Babel RC file, update, yep, create, yep, yep. All right. I was like, can I delete that file? Yes. Delete. Let's see. And I think I can remove this Webpack config. And let's have, let's go ahead and update this ESLint to use TypeScript. So how would I update this to use TypeScript instead of JavaScript? Okay. So to update the ESLint configuration to use TypeScript instead of JavaScript, you'll need to make a few changes to the file. Here's how you can modify it. Oh, I want to change this file to use TypeScript. How do I update this .ESLint file to be .ESLint.ts instead? To update, you'll need to make a few changes. So rename it, and then update the content of the file. Here's a modified version. After making these changes, you'll need to install some additional dependencies. So let's go ahead and install those dependencies. Remember to update any scripts or configurations that might be looking for. Okay. So let's do this. Let's go rename this, rename .ts. And now we can, I'm just going to all, we'll just do an insert this time. And then we've got this. The string has no properties in common with type plugin. I think that's because we actually need to like pull them in. Fix code. We're going to do it. To fix these errors you're encountering, you'll need to modify the plugins property. The issue is that the type definitions exploit plugin objects instead of strings. Is that correct? Should we import the plugin? No, we don't need to import plugins React and from ESLint package in this context. Okay. Well, let's apply and accept it. Oh, and accept it. Well, it doesn't like that. Let's try the other one that they said, just do it as const. Well, it's not happy. We'll do the fix again. Oh, well, this time it's like use require. Okay, now what's your problem? All right, well, we'll ask it to fix it again. It was happy with that. Now it's a little less happy. Okay. We'll ask it to fix this one now. We're getting closer. We need to use to fix this this error. We need to use the overrides property in the ESLint configuration. Here's the corrected code block. This change wraps the M property inside an override array, which is the correct way to specify environment settings for specific file patterns. In ESLint, when using TypeScript, the file arrays specify which file types this configuration should apply to. I don't really know what it's doing. But sure, I don't think we have any other overrides. I got missing. Unknown property. The rest of the configuration. All right. Oh, we're just going down a fix rabbit hole here. I don't know if this is needed. All right. Let's. Okay. ESLint is weird. I think it probably would have just been happier being JS. Don't save. And I'm going to go. So let's do this. Undo. Undo. Cool. And we'll just see how it reacts. So we're going to leave that alone for right now because ESLint. I think we can get rid of some of these things. So that's Jest set up there. Let's see if it runs. So let's go back over here. And now the run command that we use is dev. I think some of these can go away. So we're going to get rid of watch and start dev. And actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to change this to be Vite. Just so, like, let's say I was working with somebody else and they're used to using the start dev, and then all of a sudden it's no longer there. I don't think we need start. Okay. So let's see what happens. npm run dev. The CS build of Vite's Node API is deprecated. Well, let's see if it at least... Which one are you? You're the old one, so let's get rid of that. You are, is this the new one? This is the new one, and it says localhost page can't be found. So let's try, let's see what this does. Gonna do the thing where I'm gonna close everything. And how do I fix this Vite warning? You need to update your usage of Vite to use ESM version instead. Here are the steps you can take. First, make sure you're using the latest. All right, well, let's do that. Cool. If you're using Vite in a configuration file like vite.config.js, this tells Node to treat it as an ES module. If you're importing it into your code, nope. Okay, no. So I wonder, let's see, if you're using Vite programmatically in Node script, see if your project doesn't already have type module. Do we? Have we switched it? I don't see it. So let's put that in there. Type module. Okay. Whoop, my goodness. Okay. Let's go back over here. So we did that. So module. If you're using TypeScript, you might need to update your tsconfig. So we're not using TypeScript.json. We are using tsconfig.json. So the target, yes, next. Yep, okay. So it might have just been that we are missing that module. So let's try it again. Well, that warning did go away. Okay. So we are missing something in the movement. I think there was something that needed to change in the HTML. Let's see. So it's bundle CSS. Okay. What changes need to be made to work with our Vite setup in Vite config ts. See. To adapt your project to work with Vite setup defined in vite.config.ts file, you'll need to make some changes to your index file. Here are the necessary modifications. So move the index HTML file. The Vite config file specifies root source, so move it into there. Okay. So we did that wrong. So let's go ahead and move that into source. Move. All right. Remove the bundle references. Replace this with that. Okay. Entry point, the new script tag points to main.js. Make sure you have main.js. If you're handling, okay, additional setup, ensure that your main file correctly imports and renders React application. Update any absolute import paths in your be relative to source directory. Okay, so let's use their thing here. So insert. So that's probably why it wasn't able to run that, because I had that in the wrong place. Let's check out. So we've got app. Oh, I did not realize that is upset. Did we not fix that one? So I think instead of index, it should be main. So let's rename that. Yeah, it didn't turn red over here, but what's going on? Could not find a declaration file for components weather forecast. I don't know. I usually. Oh, you know what? It's the thing that we always need to try whenever TypeScript's giving us problems. Restart the TypeScript server. Okay, so it's happier about this, but I can see, yeah, so we didn't go through and finish fixing this because I can see that this is not typed. So let's go ahead and fix that and say update this component to use TypeScript using any types from weather station actions. Certainly. So it looks like it's pulling the right stuff. Yeah, so this looks good. Use effect. And we can do the thing where we hit apply. And we can see, okay, so it's also pulling in the weather data. Here is the app that it is now typing correctly. We are now giving it, let's see, geolocation coordinates. It's like, where is that coming from? Fetch data. Okay, so let's accept that. No. All right, so that seems to be happy now. Oh, I see. This is part of the built-in, like geolocation coordinates. Yeah. And then that's correct. Okay, cool. So save that. That's app, which gets called from our main, right? Yeah. All right. So let's try this again. I'm just going to go ahead, and I know it's like hot reloading, but I'm going to go ahead and kill it and do it again. All right. Well, it did not give that same message. Let's open up, see what's going on over here. Failed to load resource. The server responded with the status of 404 not found. Main.jsx. So that was something that we didn't change. So let's go back over here into our index. And right here, we are calling for JSX, but it's TSX. What's going on? Deprecation warning. The legacy JS API is deprecated and will be removed in Dart SSH, whatever. The dependency might be incompatible with the dep optimizer. Try. Okay. Okay, so we got the loading, and it's asking us to use our location. And it looks like it worked. Awesome. We do this. Okay, that's that weird thing. Okay. So it looks like it still works. Let's take a look at this. So let's go over and just ask about it. Close others. I'll close that. How do we resolve this deprecation warning with Vite? I apologize for the confusion, but there seems to be a misunderstanding in your question. The deprecation warning you're referring to is related to Dart, Sass, not Vite. Okay, fine. Additionally, based on your project information provided, this project doesn't use Vite as its what? However, I can provide some general guidance on how to resolve the Dart Sass deprecation warning. First, make sure you're using the latest version of Sass. Okay, let's do that. Okay, let's stop that. Run dev. It reloaded. So yeah, Sasslang, deprecation. Let's see what this says. Oh, I bet that opened it in somewhere else. Breaking changes. Custom functions, bundlers, silence warnings. It's now deprecated and will be removed. So something is happening. Let's take a look at our package JSON. I think I updated the Sass as part of what I did the last time. We got Sass loader. Okay. I would like that to be updated. But also we have like 15 minutes left. So I don't know why it thinks that we're not using. Okay. We are using Vite. How do we resolve this? You'll need to update your Sass configuration in the Vite config file. Here's how you can do it. First, make sure you're running the latest version of Sass. You know what? Doesn't hurt. We'll run that. All right. Create a Vite config file. So let's Nope. Vite config. So in your Vite config file, add the following configuration. So we've got preprocessor CSS. So we're going to say implementation Sass. Use Sass instead of CSS. Okay, this configuration tells Vite to use the new Sass implementation, which should resolve the deprecation warning. If you're using TypeScript, you might want to use, that instead. Make sure your package.json scripts are using the Vite commands. Yes. Cool. So now server restarted, and I think that deprecation is going away, but just to double check. So far, so good. Blast. Why is it back? Let's see if there's anything. I think I can do npx npm check. And that's going to check and see if there's like any packages that we can get rid of. Still using TypeScript? What? No, we are. Yeah. Sass loader. Yeah, so there's probably stuff in here that we don't need anymore, but okay. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with that. I haven't used Sass in a long time. This project just already was using it. So we'll look into that. But I think we've accomplished what we wanted to do. We are now using Vite. We are able to do everything in JSX. Lots of files were updated. All of that. The tests. So the Jest we have not updated yet. Can we do that real quick? So that says import Babel polyfill and testing library. So how do we update this for TypeScript? I think it's just going to tell us to rename that. To update to file for TypeScript, you need to make a few changes. Here's how you can modify it. First rename, okay, and then update the following. We've updated the import. In newer versions, you don't need to use. Okay, so that's nice. Okay, so let's open up terminal, run that, and copy, paste, and then go and rename that file. TS. Cool. Let's see. Is there anywhere in here where it's actually specifically calling for it? Setup files. Let's say TS. I don't know what that is. I'm not good with Jest setup. Tests. Oh, there's lots and lots of tests. Is there a test command? Okay, so let's. What is the test command for this project? npm run test. I guess, did we have that? I guess I thought I got rid of it, but maybe I didn't. Oh, it's just Jest. Okay. Well, let's see what happens when I say npm run test. We've got issues. Oh yeah, so I don't think that worked before. So that's something that I need to follow up on. So it says module in setup files was not found. Interesting. Okay, yeah. So I don't think Jest was ever really set up correctly. Cool. So we did that. Let's see, 34 different changes here. So let's go ahead and do a commit. So git status, lots of that. Git add dot git status, git commit in. Let's see, chore updated to Vite and TypeScript. Yeah, I know. Okay. I need to add no verify. No verify. There we go. Push origin, move to TypeScript. There we go. And it's up as a branch in my project. That is all we're going to get to today. I think it went pretty quickly. So the act of moving from, let me go ahead and go to my finishing up mode here. So the act of moving files from TypeScript or from JavaScript to TypeScript, I think went pretty smoothly. There were some times where one, it didn't know about types that were already existing. And so being able to help it with an app mention was good. But there were also some times where we weren't actually exporting the types that we needed. So we saw that in with the Redux toolkit in the store. We weren't exporting those needed types, right? And so once we got the environment set up with Vite, which Vite does all of the TypeScript stuff out of the box, we were able to start doing that really quickly. If I had more time, I would have dived deeper into the testing to make sure that that was all moved over to TypeScript files and it ran appropriately, but it didn't run before we started today. So it's not something I wanted to run away with. The thing that was nice was before TypeScript, we had prop types and it was using prop types, and it did take care of removing that out. We did discover that apply button. So whenever you use that apply button, it inserts the new code over into your existing code in a diff view. So you can go through and see it more clearly, and then you can accept that. So that's really nice. But yeah, for the most part, it was able to figure out the types it needed, create the interfaces, and just move those over. If you are doing something like this, I would not try to automate the process like using an LLM to do that, because we did catch a few times where it would do things better if we informed it about types that existed. So this was fun. I feel like it worked, and we had some fun with kind of giving the chat some personality. So if you are having a bad day, just make your chat, I don't know, something fun. And yeah. But thank you for joining me. I have one more Tabnine live before I take off to Japan, and I'll be out for 2 weeks. And then I'll be adjusting the time a bit so I can stream from Japan and not do it at 4 in the morning. So stay tuned. We usually publish this stuff out at least on YouTube and LinkedIn at least a week ahead of time, as long as I remember to do it. If there are things that you would love to see explained or done in Tabnine, please reach out on all of the channels. It's Aydrian most places on the internet. But I will be back next Tuesday, hopefully with a special guest, hopefully doing something special. But yeah, stay tuned. Let's get this music going to play me out. Da-na-na-na. Play the rock. Yeah. So I hope everybody enjoys the rest of their week. I will be at Comic-Con in New York City starting on Thursday. If you're there, say hi. If you see me, I will be dressing up. It's going to be fun. But until then, I'm going to say TTFN. That's all for now. Bye, everyone.